Hey everybody, how's it going? Mr. H hanging out here with you on Friday. It's Good Friday, actually. I forgot about that, but I'm also Greek Orthodox, so it's actually next Friday. That's all good, man. There's Easter candy involved all over the place. But if you're Greek Orthodox, you get it on half price discount the following week. Think about it. Welcome to Planet Earth. Just another glorious day here in paradise. So, thinking about history, always do, right? I think about all the guys we fought against in various wars, right? Who the U.S. gone up against? Who's been the big villain? Way back in the Revolution, there was King George the Third. That guy was around forever. There he is as a young man, and there he is a little bit older when his mind was going on him. 1760 to 1820. That guy was around for the 7 Years' War, the Revolution, French Revolution, Napoleon, War of 1812. Yeah, we went up against this guy twice. The Revolution beat him. War of 1812. Yeah, a little bit of a, as the British like to say, close run thing. They were screwing around with our ships. We decided to take Canada from them. Didn't take Canada, but they never screwed our ships again. So I'm going to call that one a win. Then later on, we end up going to war against Mexico. Now, a lot of people say the war against Mexico, 1846, 1848, might not have been completely justified, but they really had a bad dude running show down there. I mean, Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, there he is underneath the tree where they forced him to sign the treaty that gave Texas independence. Called himself the Napoleon of the Americas and lost like every battle he ever fought. So, at the end of the war, I think Mexico was more PO'd at him than we were. There he is on the there on the right on that the Alamo back in 2004. That movie is a box office bomb, but I liked it. I don't know. That tells you a lot, right? Don't go to Mr. H looking for a movie advice. Anyway, I liked it. Yep, and their portrayal of Santa Anna, how do we say this in historical terms? He was a real meanie butt. Let it go at that. Now, even though we ripped the northern half of Mexico off, Mexico always said that the Civil War was Mexico's revenge on America for taking like the entire Southwest. Who was running the Confederate States of America? Yep, the villain de jure in 1861 to 1865, Jefferson Davis. Born in Kentucky, grew up in Mississippi, was a Secretary of War briefly, served in the U.S. government. So, when they appointed him as president of the Confederacy, he seemed like he knew what he was doing. Yeah, didn't do that great a job. He lost. So how good was he? But anyway, 1865, lost the war, was captured, allegedly dressed as a woman, but that's up to debate. They decided, guilty of treason, but they couldn't really try him because they have to try him in Virginia, where Richmond was, and good chance that your juror is going to be Confederate sympathizers. So they put him in prison, sentenced to life. 1867, they let him go because he wasn't being treated very well, and he went into the insurance business, turned down some teaching gigs, needed money, so he wrote Rise and Fall of the Confederate Government, made a lot of money off of that. Yeah, only in America. And then the greatest name of our enemy ever is this dude from the Spanish-American War. Nobody in America knew who he was. I'm not even sure anybody in Spain knew who this guy was, but wow, did he have an awesome name. Right? Praxedis Mateo Sagasta. Doesn't look particularly evil. He was prime minister in Spain from 1870 to 1902, 8 different times. Part of the Liberal Fusionist Party. So he was sitting in office when Spain and America went to war. Didn't take very long. 3 months later, Spain lost pretty bad. He has to sign the treaty. Then he said he retired, but he came out of retirement again, was there for a few more years. Then he retired for good. And then he ran off to run a bait shop somewhere in Cadiz or something. Actually, I think he died right afterwards. But what a name, man. Praxedis. Let's go with that. No, Praxedis. Am I playing that right? Hey, if you can figure it out, let me know. Praxedis Mateo Sagasta. We're going to talk about some 20th century villains a little bit later on, because now it's time to talk about the UFL. There you are, that black blurry ball. Had a great first opening day weekend, man. Who are you cheering for? There's all these various teams. Got the Columbus Aviators over there way on the right. Then we got the new team, Louisville Kings, or Columbus' new team as well. Defending champion, DC Defenders. Then we've got the Dallas Renegades. They got rid of Arlington and said Dallas Renegades. That makes a lot more sense, even though I don't like the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't know, some things bleed over there too. We got the Birmingham Stallions, right? King of Spring a lot of times. You see they altered their uniform around a little bit. I wish they would have kept that tan helmet, and going to red jersey, kind of, keep continuity, but they didn't ask me. We got the St. Louis Battlehawks right over there, and then followed up by the Houston Gamblers. They played around their uniform a little bit, and then another new team, the Orlando Storm. So how did they do? Well, that first game was between Birmingham and Louisville, and it was a pretty good one. Birmingham wins at the end, 15-13. Sellout, almost a sellout crowd, like 97% or something like that, playing in a soccer stadium. And a lot of people had fun, and apparently some kind of incident with people throwing drinks at the players. I heard players do drinks at the fans. I don't know. You can't do that, man. But anyway, Birmingham won a close one. Yeah, if these guys ever have a rematch, it's going to be knives drawn and blood in the eyes. Hey, the St. Louis Battlehawks. Of course, they had the biggest crowd, over 31K over there in the Dome, going up against the DC Defenders. These guys have been playing each other since 2020. Yeah, back with the XFL 2.0, and then, of course, we had the little hiatus there for a while. So, 2023 onwards. So they've been battling each other. This is a pretty good rivalry. Haven't met in the playoffs. No, yeah, they did. Yeah, DC won. But DC also won championship there in St. Louis. And the Battlehawks, not in our house, at least not this year. Maybe later on, we'll see. But the Battlehawks win. They win a close one there in front of a huge, raucous crowd. Nobody throwing drinks, though. And we had the battle for Texas. Houston Gamblers over there in white, and the Dallas, I almost said Desperados. That's an old arena team. But anyway, the Dallas Renegades, they were playing. Disappointing crowd, only 8,000 people on one side of the stadium. Apparently a stadium there, Toyota Stadium in Frisco, Texas, under some kind of renovation. If you're a NDSU Bison fan, that stadium sounds familiar. We won a lot of championships there. Dallas wins this one 36-17 for the battle for Texas, and for some reason, Dallas and Houston aren't playing each other twice this year. They should really get that one going, because that's a rivalry just begging to have stories written about it. The Orlando Storm, they knocked off the Columbus Aviators. The crowd there was, it wasn't too bad. This is 23-16, by the way. It wasn't too bad. Could be a little bit better, but 11K in the small stadium. So looks like the UFL is off to a pretty decent start. And like I said, I hope this thing stays around. Mr. H is a big fan of alt football leagues, in case you haven't noticed. The NFL appears to have lost its way there. With a 17-game schedule, they want to make it 18 now. Why do you do that to start with? And what's this declared onside kicks? What is that all about, man? Come on, the whole fun of an onside kick is you don't see it coming. Well, actually, you do. It's usually late in the game, and the odds are very low. But still, sometimes I've seen people do it in the beginning of the game. And who could forget the Super Bowl with the Saints and the Colts when they came out in the second half? See, that's the fun of the game. You don't know what's happening. NFL losing your way. Long live the UFL. Hey, let's talk about some dinosaurs. You know this guy, right? Look kind of familiar? Yutyrannis, living up in the Arctic. Yep, this is the ancestor of Tyrannosaurus. You know something about the hands, though? Look at those hands. Got 3 claws, not 2. Isn't that interesting? Now, Tyrannosaurus' ancestors came from Siberia. You know, I always talk about that. Tarbosaurus, Torovosaurus, all these guys. So they came over the bridge. And what's the weather like up there? If you're coming over from Asia, coming out to Alaska and Canada, it's going to be cold weather. So this is one of these dinosaurs they use as their feathered dinosaur theory. So as far as they're concerned, this is Exhibit A. And you know what Mr. H is going to do? Is look at those hands, man. 3 claws instead of 2. It's an ancestor. There's another picture. I've seen this one before. This seems to encapsulate what Arctic dinosaurs are all about. Just hanging out there in the woods in the snow. He's got to be hungry, man. Cold, hungry. Oh, yeah, don't mess with a reptile. Cold and hungry, man. Now, Yutyrannis wasn't the biggest, not as big as his later descendant, but, still a pretty good-sized animal over here. It's looking about, 27 to 30 feet long, If it stands up at its full height, we're talking 12, 13, 14 feet high. And those jaws, that's the main thing. And those arms, you can reach out and grab things with these arms. So arms start to shrink, as further life goes, and they end up with 2 fingers instead of 3. But hey, they were around a few million years, got the job done. Hey, it's coming up on Easter, or at least the Western Easter. Why don't you check out a book called Heaven's Steel by your friend here, Mr. H? You like full-scale battles? You ever hear of a place called the North March? Check out this book and you will. And no, by the way, the North March is not Mount Washington and Pittsburgh. Somebody asked me about that. No, it's not. Yeah, it does have a sort of North Dakota look to it. That wasn't really what I planned when I wrote this thing, but hey, life takes you some crazy places sometimes. Find it at lulu.com and all the other places. Hey, Mr. H gets $1, even if you get the ebook. You guys have yourself a fantastic Easter, and I will see you around next time. Hey, till then, das vidanya.